Welcome to Influence Matters. I'm your host, Clara Rose. Each week, we talk about crafting your message or other matters of influence, or sometimes I have a special guest who is doing something interesting and making a difference in the world around them. And so I bring them to you. Either way, if you are building a business, ministry, cause, or brand, you are in the right place, my friend. Now, today I don't have a guest, so I'm going to do some teaching. I'm going to just drop a little knowledge on you specifically about being a savvy leader. Now, we are all leaders. So you might not think of yourself as a leader, but I promise you, you are leading someone. Someone is following you. Now, since most of the people that I work with are entrepreneurs or business people in some way, professionals in some way, they absolutely understand that leadership is a part of their life. Now, they may be at the lower levels of leadership, or they could be at the top of the pile, right? Where everything rolls downhill from there. Either way, the thing that I want to talk about today is having the mindset of a leader, specifically a savvy leader. And we've talked about being savvy before, and that's really just about being shrewd, making good choices, having good knowledge, and making good choices around that knowledge. So let's jump right into talking about mindset matters. Now, there are a few things that we're going to talk about today. So I'm not going to do a super deep dive, but I want to touch on these things. I want to talk about the mindset of a leader. And then I want to talk about leading from the front of the pack. We don't lead from the back. Casting a vision, which is super important when you're a leader, that your followers know where you're headed. And then leadership with the heart and mind so that there's a purpose behind it. And of course, if you know me at all, you know I have a savvy tip for you. Savvy leaders are shrewd with practical knowledge and good judgment. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So let's dive into the first one, which is the mindset of a leader. So, what is a leader mindset? A leader actually thinks differently. A leader thinks differently because they're thinking from a different perspective. So, they consider the bigger picture. So they're looking at the organization or they're looking at the staff. The customers are all part of the equation. So the mindset of that individual really matters. If you are leading a small office, for instance, how you think about things is different than the people who are following you, right? You're the one kind of carving the path. You're the one leading the charge, if you will. So your mindset as a leader matters. So mindset matters. Absolutely, my friend. And of course, I have a savvy tip for you here. Mindset is ever changing. So make the decision today. Decide to take your thoughts captive. Now, if you're a faith based person, like I'm a faith based person, you're going to recognize this is actually scriptural. Right? We are instructed to take captive our minds, right? To be in control of those things. So I'm just going to give you that challenge today as a leader that the first thing you want to think about from mindset perspective is taking captive your thoughts because your mindset really does matter. Okay, let's move on and talk about leadership just in general. Let's talk about front leadership, right? Leading from the front of the pack. Leaders actually provide direction. They set the pace for what's going on in their organization. So, a good example in my own organization is that I have staff that works for me that are helping me in a specific direction. Right? So they're editors, I have a social media person, but I'm actually guiding the direction for all of these people. Next slide, please. I'm the one saying, okay, here's where we're headed, and here's why. So I'm the one setting the pace and the direction for all of the things that they're doing. I set the objective, if you will, for my staff. So think about in your own leadership position, how are you setting the pace? How are you directing your staff? Right? You can't expect your followers, and maybe followers isn't the best word, but leaders, followers, but those the people that you lead, don't expect them to do things that you are unwilling to do. Next slide, please. If you're not willing to do it, you can't expect that your staff, well, you could expect it, but you're going to be disappointed, my friend. Right? If you're not willing to do it, your staff is not going to do it. So your leadership really does matter. So here's a great example. A company that I'm recently working with had brought in new technology. Now, they had not used technology before, and it brought some challenges along with it. Right? So they're trying to use technology in the field, and there was a fair amount of resistance to using the technology. Right? People were fumbling. It was awkward. It didn't work the way that it was supposed to. There was just this in general, this unhappiness, if you will, about having to use this technology. What really was happening is the person at the top, the leader, hadn't bought into the technology. So every time something went sideways, which especially when you're doing learning a new technology, those things are going to happen. Every time something went sideways or something didn't work correctly or somebody couldn't figure something out, it was like this stupid technology's fault, right? So there was no leadership from the front. It was like, meh, everyone was hesitant. Everyone was feeling like, maybe this is a terrible idea. Maybe we don't want to do this. That is what I'm talking about. You set the direction and you set the pace and you go first, and then the people you lead will follow after you. Leadership makes a difference. It's not just what you say that matters. I promise you, they are watching you, and what you do, your staff will do. I promise it's true. Okay. Front leadership is important, but I don't want to spend a ton of time there. I don't want to miss out on some of the other stuff I need to share with you. So let's move on and talk about casting a vision. So what do I mean by casting a vision? It sounds like marketing fluff, doesn't it? It sounds like a consultant that someone brings in and says, "We're going to cast a vision for the company." It sounds fluffy and floofy. I promise you, it is an integral part of setting some intention for your business and the direction of your business. Leaders are the people who cast the vision of the goals and the aspirations of the organization. So that's the person that says, here's where we're going and why, and paints the picture for people. So it's not a vague idea of where you're headed. It's not fluffy stuff in the sky. It's a clear vision about who they serve and how they serve them. That's what vision is. So some people will call it like a vision statement or have other terminology for it, but it's really about painting a picture for your staff. If you can say, okay, guys, here's where we're headed and here's what it looks like and here's why. This is the difference we're going to make in the world around us. This is what we're doing. Then that's something that the people you lead, your followers, if you will, your staff, your clients, whoever, that's something they can sink their teeth into. That's something they can see and participate in, right? It's clear to them. People want direction, right? They want to know where you're headed. As a matter of fact, it really feels uncertain when there is no vision. It feels a bit like you're just flopping around like a fish out of water, especially if things change often, right? Oh, today we're doing it this way. Nope. Tomorrow we're doing it that way. Oh, today I'm serving these people. Nope. Tomorrow I'm serving those people. That's a lack of vision. And you as a leader need to learn how to cast a vision. There are classes you can take, there's software that you can use, lots of different reasons different things out there to use for it. My favorite has always been the big old whiteboard where you just sketch it all out. I love to have people in my organization or my clients, whoever I'm working with, I love to have them participate in that because what I find is they buy in quicker. Right? If I lay out a vision before them, they may or may not right away buy in, at least they know where we're headed. But if I can get them to participate in the process, then there's a piece of ownership in that decision making that makes people connected in a really strong way to where you're headed. And that, my friend, is gold in leadership. Get to know your people. Here's my savvy tip on this particular point: get to know your people. And as they learn to trust you, they will follow you. Definitely, if your people don't trust you, they may not always like you, but they need to trust you in order to follow you. Sometimes people don't like you because you're making them do something they don't want to do, but they will learn to trust your leadership if you are a front leader and you have clear vision and you invite them to come along on the journey with you. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about heart and mind leadership. So, what do I mean by heart and mind? I mean, it's not just about the intellectual choices that we make, right? It can be super easy if you're a very focused, driven person. I tend to be very focused and driven in my own business, in my own life. So I have to be careful that I'm looking at more than just the end goal, right? I can think, because I'm a strategic thinker, I can think very globally and say, okay, here's the big picture. Here's the things that need to happen, and then just go at it 100 miles an hour with my hair on fire. And if you're that person, you just need to be aware of that about you and say, okay, I need to slow down, take a step back, take a deep breath, and say, okay, how does this affect the people around me? Right? How does my 100 miles an hour with the hair on fire affect those that I'm trying to lead? So leaders who care about their people, that's the heart part, right? The caring about them as individuals, caring about how they're being affected by those pieces and those things that you're doing. Those are the leaders that inspire creativity and loyalty and contentment in the workplace, right? If you lead with your heart and your mind, we have to lead with our mind to a certain extent, right? We've already talked about setting pace and direction for the people that we lead, right? We've already talked about doing that from the front. We've already talked about casting a vision for them to follow. But if you're not being aware of the heart part of it, I think you're missing an opportunity to connect with your people on a whole different level. Now, there are companies that I love to research companies. Why do they work? Why do they not work? There's like a pattern, or like a cyclicalness, if you will. There's a great book out, People Before Profits, and it talks about how this happens often in businesses. So you'll have a business that starts out with very high ideals. They have a service or a product that people love and connect with, and they do a great job of putting people first and it being about the service or about the product, or this, it's almost passion driven. And then somewhere along the line, they lose sight of the people that made it possible, the people that made it happen, and they raise their prices ridiculously, or they, because it becomes about profits, right? It becomes, the bottom line is about the bottom line, or it becomes, customer service becomes an issue, and that they just start to slip. And they're company after company. Read the book, you'll see what I'm talking about. Company after company after company that has done this. Like, they take off, they're this amazing company, and then they hit this slump because their priorities have shifted. They've stopped thinking with their heart. It's all mind, it's all bottom line dollar, and the brand suffers. And then somewhere along the line, usually somebody in leadership will go, wait a minute, we're off track. There's a problem here. Let's look at what the problem is. And they'll discover that they stopped being heart and mind. They started just being about the almighty dollar, or just about, the people in leadership making those big bonuses, whatever it is. They've lost sight of what it is they do and who they serve, and they've stifled their people. And the smart companies will quickly reposition themselves and say, okay, let's get back to the basics, back to the essentials of putting people first. And when you're dealing with people, you have to deal with their heart and you have to deal with their mind. It has to be both of those people. And the truth is, influential leaders inspire us all, right? We can all think of somebody out there that we are in awe of, right? That's what I want to be when I grow up. I say that all the time, even though I'm 60, so I'm clearly grown up at this point. But I see people and I think, man, I want to be like that when I grow up. I want to be that kind of a leader, or I want to inspire people in that way. I see people out in the world making a difference, doing amazing things, and I'm like, wow, I want to do that. I want to be that. In fact, that's one of the reasons that sometimes when you show up for my show, I have a guest, right? Because I've met somebody who's doing something that caught my attention. They inspire me in some way, or they make me want to be a better or different person, or make me want to be a different leader, make me want to step up, show up in the world in a different way. And so, if they're willing, I bring them on the show. Hey, come tell my viewers what it is you do. Tell my viewers how you're making a difference in the world. I want to inspire you in the same way that these people inspire me. And it full circle just takes me right back to those are people who are heart and mind leaders. They're doing something unique. And that's why I bring them on the show, because I think these are influential leaders that I admire in some way. Not everybody that comes on the show, but most everybody. That's why they're here. So I want to just inspire you, if I can, to be the kind of leader that you would like to follow. Maybe it's time to sit down and have a good hard look at your leadership role and say, am I leading from the front? Right? Am I setting the pace, setting the direction? Do I have the right mindset about this? Or am I just pushing my people to try to get maximum productivity so that I can have maximum bottom dollar in my pocket? Or, if you're a small business, it is always connected in some way to the bottom line, right? Because we have to pay the bills to keep the doors open. But if you're in a higher level in a large company, your higher level of leadership, you have people to answer to, right? Your bosses and maybe a board of directors. There's other people looking at the bottom line for you and saying, okay, let's make sure that our profits are where they need to be. But as a leader, it's your job to step in and say, yes, let's maximize our profits, but let's maximize our people first. And I'm telling you, get this book, People Before Profits. I promise it will change how you think. And that's what we're here to talk about today, right? The mindset of a savvy leader. You want to be shrewd, right? That's what the savvy meant, shrewd, right? With practical knowledge. That's where you want to land as a leader. Am I doing this in a way that is being shrewd? Am I being savvy as a leader? So these are some easy questions that you can ask yourself about your leadership style, about you, who you are as a leader, and how you can take it to the next level as a leader. So let's recap the mindset of a leader. Mindset matters. So, what does your mindset look like? Here's a little activity, and just really quickly, a little activity that you can do about your leadership style that might open your eyes. Sit down with a piece of paper. Everyone tells you to do this. Split it in half. On one side, things I do well, and the other side, things that I need work on. And we're not here to beat ourselves up or belittle ourselves or berate ourselves in any way. This is a way to honestly look at, here's what I do well. And that could be I listen well to my employees, my staff, my clients. I'm I'm responsive, right? When I get an email from them, I get back to them in a timely manner, right? They're not waiting for weeks wondering if I ever got the email, right? That makes me crazy when people don't bother to. How long does it take, honestly, to respond to an email? Seconds, right? Just do it, get it over with already. Don't leave them out there wondering. But on that side, list all the things that it feels like boasting, but I promise you it's not. This is a tool. a tool to better yourself as a leader. List all those things you're like, yep, these are the things that I do well. Right. And then the other side, these are the things that I don't do as well. I could use some work on this side of things. And if you can be truly honest with yourself about those two lists, it's going to open your eyes to whether there's balance, maybe there's a significant imbalance on one side or the other. You have to be able to work on who you are as a person and who you are as a leader and your mindset about it if you want to be a great leader and influence others. Okay, leading from the front. We've talked about that a couple of times now. I think the most significant thing that I can say about leading from the front is people are inspired by those in leadership that lead from the front. Right? If you want to truly inspire your people toward the goal that you've set, lead from the front. Be that one to say, here's what needs to be done. Who's going with me? Not that we can't delegate tasks, right, that need to be done, but direction and pace of a company are set by you, the leader. And then casting that vision, time well spent. Personally, in our own lives and our own businesses, we own more than one, we set aside time on a regular basis. One of our companies, we have a daily stand up meeting in the morning. Doesn't take long, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but it is casting the vision for the day. Here's what's going on. Here's where we're headed. Who has questions? Who has input? Is there something that we don't know? Right? Is some direction we're headed that we're unaware of, right? That stand up meeting in the morning is just so valuable. We stand up instead of sit down because we don't want to fall into the habit of it becoming just another meeting that sucks time and energy from us, right? So it's stand up. All right, where are we headed? What are we doing? What do we all need to know? So we're all on the same page. We all have the same vision for where we're headed. I think that's really powerful, especially for a service-based industry, which one of our companies is. And then, of course, Rosedale Publishing, we're very client focused. And so our meetings are longer, sit down, but weekly meetings. We talk about each of our clients, where are they? What support do they need from us? And that's about because we've cast a vision, right? This person has a published date that we need to meet. Are they struggling somewhere? Why are they struggling? How can we help them? How can we support them? What can we do? And the staff together is headed in a specific direction. And I, as the leader, I'm leading the charge. I'm casting the vision. I'm leading in front, and then I'm always trying to be aware of what I feel like is the most important, which is the heart and mind of the leader, of leadership in general. I know my staff well. I've taken the time to get to know them well. I know their strengths, I know their weaknesses, and I know what they need from me, not just from a mindset matter, but from a heart matter, the intellectual side of things as well. Okay, we're almost out of time. So I just want to say, are you a hesitant leader? Because some people are. They feel like leadership is solitary, right? Is lonely. I can't be one of the guys anymore. All right. I can't be one of the crowd or the group or the people, right? I'm going to be an outsider as a leader. But I promise you, leadership doesn't have to be scary. Leaders are just people like you. And you can be like, I don't want to be a leader. This is too scary. But just remember that they are people. They have families and hopes and dreams for their lives. Kindness just matters on both sides of the equation. If you're a leader or if you have leaders in your life, be kind to those who lead, and they will be kind to you. That's my advice. That's my savvy tip as I wrap that up. Be kind to those you lead, and they will be kind to you. If you lead with a heart, and of course, the mind has to be there, but kindness absolutely does matter. Okay. Well, I hope that you found that helpful and inspirational. And I hope that you too are going to have a look at your leadership style and maybe level up a little bit, become a savvy leader. And that starts with mindset. I, of course, cannot go without talking about the upcoming mentorship, The Savvy Author, which is going to be rolling out this fall right after the Savvy Author Retreat. I'm super excited. Deep in the throes of planning the Savvy Author Retreat this fall. It's going to be a great time. We have a little place in Kentucky that we're going that's actually well known for writers' retreats. I'm super excited to roll that out. So be on the lookout for the details about that. You, my friends, will be the first to hear about the Savvy Author Retreat when it opens up. So you will have first dibs on grabbing a ticket to get yourself registered for that event. And it will fill up quickly, and then you'll just have to wait until the following year. And that's actually where we'll roll out the Savvy Author mentorship program for the coming year as well. All right, my friends, I am completely out of time, but as always, I appreciate that you show up here every week so that I can share with you about influence, all of the things, all the pieces that matter in influence. The writing and the speaking and the leadership, all of those things help to make you a better influencer. And influence makes a difference in the world. I, of course, want to give special shout out to all of the people who have recently been on the show, who have invited me to be over on their show. I'm going to be sending hopefully soon a link out to all of you, my friends. If you are not following me over on Facebook or on Instagram, please do that at Savvy Clara Rose, because I'm going to be putting out an announcement for people just like you who are wanting to build their influence, who have written their books or are about to write their books or want to write their books. It's going to be a place where we can all gather together and support each other in our endeavors to build our influence around whatever it is that you do. For me, it's about helping people write and publish their books. What is it for you? What are you doing in the world? What difference are you trying to make? What tool could you create or have you created that you could share with us? Because we want to know. It's not just about working with our company to create a book. Maybe you already have a book. You just need a place to shout it from the mountaintops or from the rooftops. Hey, I have this really great tool that could make a difference in your world. So be on the lookout. Be sure you hop on over there and follow us so you know when that's happening. I am out of time, my friends, but I will see you here again next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Influence Matters with Clara Rose. Take care.